Hi, I'm Shuichi Murakami. Welcome to Designing Landscape Form series. Last time, we learned the relationship between landform and water flow. In other words, the basics of designing water flow. Water does not only flow, it can also stay, fall, collect, rise, recede, or evaporate and disappear. Let's look at landform designs that focus on these kinds of water behavior. This is a photograph of the ground in a park located along a lake shore. It may look like a constructed wetland, but it is not. This place, which used to be grassland like the surrounding area, was temporarily used as a parking lot during a large event. After that, water began to collect there constantly, and aquatic plants even started to appear. This is what it looked like at that time. Later, however, the water surface disappeared, as shown in these photographs. Such changes in landscape are related to the behavior of water, such as accumulating, penetrating, and evaporating, and to the landform behind it, a slight depression created by the weight of cars. Now, let us look at one by one the relationship between the behavior of water and the landform. This is a familiar section of a landform where water flows from right to left. What happens if, like this, we create a horizontal section on part of the slope and raise a wall at the lower end of the section? The water is blocked by the wall and stays on the horizontal section. A dam is one example of this. If there is no wind, the still water surface reflects the surrounding scenery like a mirror. Different sizes and shapes of the horizontal section create different kinds of water surfaces. If more water continues to flow down from above, what will happen to the staying water? The level of the staying water will rise, and once it exceeds the height of the wall, the water will overflow. Since the height of the wall matters, the way the water overflows will differ depending on differences in the height of the top edge of the wall. For example, if the wall has a top edge of uniform height like this, the water will overflow along the entire wall. However, if part of the top edge is higher like this, the water will overflow from the lower part. Unless the inflow of water from above becomes great enough, the water will continue to overflow only at the lower part. What happens to the overflowing water? As long as gravity exists, it falls downward. A waterfall is one example. However, there are several ways for water to fall. It may fall through the air like a curtain as shown on the left, or it may run down along a wall on the right, creating a reflection sound. This depends partly on the volume and speed of the water, but in this condition it is more likely to fall along the wall. For example, if the top edge projects outward like this, the water will be more likely to fall through the air. Next, let us look at a section of landform in which a lower area continues between higher surroundings. Water will likely accumulate there, just like in the example I showed at the beginning, due to factors such as rainfall from the sky, inflow from the surroundings, or a rise in groundwater. If there is no wind, the water surface reflects the surrounding scenery like a mirror. When the wind blows, the reflection disappears and the water surface begins to ripple. However, for water to accumulate, the ground must hold water well. If the ground is highly permeable, water will be less likely to accumulate. This ground property has attracted public attention in recent years because of its relevance to reducing the urban flooding. Or the accumulated water may evaporate into the air. Eventually, the water surface will disappear. The level of water changes from moment to moment. Those changes are so gradual, hard to realize. In episode 9 of this series, a land art work was introduced in which the lake bed was shaped so that changes to the lake level would be revealed. It is also possible to make changes in water level easier to realize at the water's edge. If the form of the edge remains as it is, it will be difficult to realize as shown here. But a horizontal step is made like this. Even a slight rise will submerge the step, making it seem as if it was vanished, and this makes the changes in water level easier to realize. By adjusting the height of the step, we can change the water level at which people begin to realize the change. And by changing the number of steps, we can change how many times such changes become perceptible. In this episode, we have explored the basic relationships between the water behavior and the landform. By combining these basics, we can design landforms that allow us to enjoy a rich variety of water expressions. For example, if we repeat the sequence of staying, overflowing, and falling 3 times while changing the position, width, and height, we can create a waterfall like this. We can also design the steps of water edge to a circle, a square, and a triangle from top to bottom, so that as the water levels goes down, the shapes of the water changes from a circle to a square to a triangle, and in the end, the water disappears, leaving only traces behind. By transforming the basics, try exploring the endless possibilities of how water behaves. The theme of the next episode is let's design ground surface as a layers. The movements of people and the behavior of water that we have explored so far have largely been determined by the shape of the land surface. In other words, we have been thinking of the ground as a single surface. But what would happen if the ground were not just only one surface but composed of multiple layers? The space in which people move and water behave might become richer and more diverse. In the next episode, let's explore that possibility. See you in the next episode.